Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're welcoming you for the World Restart Your Heart session, discussing the results from 2020 and the activities for 2021. I myself was invited by Professor Brent Böttcher and Professor Andrew Lanka to join this session today as a representative of the Young ERC. I'm a clinical fellow currently residing at the University of Toronto in Canada. And it's now my great pleasure to hand over to Professor Böttcher for the introduction words for this session today.
Thank you very much, Sabine, and welcome everyone. It's really great to have you all with us in this session on the World Restart a Heart Day. I'm very proud to chair this session together with Sabine and the ILCO World Restart a Heart co-chair Andrew Lanka. I just would like to mention again that World Restart a Heart started in Europe about 8 years ago when we approached the European Parliament and asked them for their support for this idea. And we have received 400 signatures of members of the European Parliament to support the European Restart a Heart Day, which was then first performed in 2013. And in 2017, 3-4 years ago, we approached ILCOR and said, wouldn't that be a good idea to do it together worldwide, all over the world? And we can see faces and names from all over the world in this session now. And we had the first World Restart a Heart Day 2018. And it was always an approach that we did together with many people from all around the world. In the meantime, we have trained more than 6 million people in resuscitation, lay people worldwide. We have reached more than 200 million. It's just a great success, I would say. We will hear more in the next hour. I'm personally very proud and extremely thankful to all people around the world that have participated. So cordial thanks to everyone and welcome to this session. And Andy, please take over.
Thank you very much, Bernd. And my thanks as well to everybody, not just who's participating on this conference Zoom this morning, but obviously everybody around the world who has participated in World Restart a Heart and will continue to participate. It is a phenomenal partnership, a phenomenal collaborative, which extends way beyond organizational boundaries and has had such a huge impact so far. So without much further ado, we have got a series of presentations from all around the world, looking back at previous activity, but also looking forward at activity yet to come. So let's go straight to the presentations. I'm going to hand over to Sabine to introduce the first speaker.
So as our first speaker, I'm now inviting Diane Atkins as representative from the American Heart Association to take over the floor. Diane, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sabine. And I'm very pleased to represent the American Heart Association in this session on World Restart a Heart. And I'm going to summarize what the Heart Association did on October the 16th. The first thing was a Facebook Live and YouTube channel of a training live stream featuring Dr. Vinay Nadkarni. I'm sure most of you know of him if you've not had the opportunity to meet him. It was a fantastic video, and he demonstrated hands-only CPR actually in his home. The staff at the Heart Association created a toolkit for colleagues around the country to use in their communities. And then they created a video featuring Jocko Sims, who actually plays a cardiologist on an American TV show titled New Amsterdam. I have a clip of that, or at least a picture of that, but you can find that still on the web just by Googling Jocko Sims CPR video. And on October the 16th, 2 press releases were released. One was to highlight CPR safety, and then the other was a press release with Jocko Sims talking about the very importance of learning hands-only CPR. So next slide, please. So this is a picture of Jocko Sims as he started to talk about CPR, and he talks about it in his role as playing a cardiologist. The Heart Association was able to count basically the number of sort of touches that we had. Our live stream on Facebook reached 75,000 people, and there were 300 shares. The social media was 206,000. We had 7,000 media placements and 370 million media impressions. Therefore, our total reach for World Restart a Heart was a very impressive 370.6 million. And obviously these numbers are somewhat approximate, but we were very pleased to reach that number. Next slide, please. And this shows you a picture of Dr. Nand Carney in his home demonstrating CPR. He gives a few slides and then a copy of the press release from Nancy Brown, who's the CEO of the Heart Association. And is that the end of my 3 minutes? No? Okay, so as you can see, we summarize the data here on the number of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests. Over here on the right-hand side, what you can see is the comments that we received from the live stream video that Dr. Nand Carney did on October the 16th. And then the next slide. Oh, go ahead. I think the last slide just says that I had no conflicts to disclose. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Diane. We have already 4 minutes, so we have probably some time at the end to further come back to you. Great work, excellent. And we are going to the next area of the world, which is the Arab countries. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome Dr. Abdul Khan from the Arab Resuscitation Council, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you for inviting me actually to be in this forum session. First slide, please. So the first slide here, just to introduce myself, that representing the Saudi Heart Association and Arab Resuscitation Council, and we are pleased to participate for the last 3 years for the World Restart Heart Association, and I don't have any conflict of interest in that issue. Next slide, please. So the theme was your hand can save life, and we have been actually using almost all the materials which has been sent by the ARC, by the ILCOR, and also the International Federation of the First Aid to help in propagating and awareness program for almost all our communities, particularly when we are talking about in general Saudi Kingdom, Saudi Arabia. Next, please. So the issue actually here that we use, or our objective was to reach as much as we can of the public. And next, please. We had in that era in October and before October, we had the new actually model or new programs that is being invented by Lerdl, which showed that we can use what we call it virtual CPR for awareness program. So we are really just want to put in these 3 minutes our fantastic experience with this program. Next, please. So we were using their program, Anywhere CPR. And we were, because Lerdl was putting that for all councils freely until the end of December. So we make use of that for the whole period during October until the end of September, until the end of December. And we had a Zoom meeting with our instructors. We showed them how to go in and how to make a class. Next, please. How to use a program and how to use how to get a class in. Yes, please. Next. So our instructors, they are putting, making the class, get the people in, they instruct them through the Zoom meeting. They make a lot of, as almost half an hour theoretical awareness with picture, and then the aim of this session, and then they start. Okay, so this is the last slide. So actually they get communicating with them through the Zoom, and approximately we reach up to 30,000 people through this program. I plan just to share this program and this new invention with you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Congratulations. Thank you. Over to Andy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khan. We're now going to travel to the other side of the world. We're going to travel to Asia and the phenomenal input from the many countries covered by the Asian Resuscitation Council. So I'm going to hand over now to Sui-Han Lim.
Hi, thank you for the kind invitation. And I want to thank my colleagues from Japan, Korea, as Philippines for assisting me with the presentation. Next. No conflict of interest. Next. So during COVID time, and there's additional safety measure during the CPR training classes, the staff and learner are required to check in digitally, and either using a token or apps on the phone or a QR code, and have to take temperature before entrance, and also wearing of mask or face shield at all times during a class, washing of hands before and after each session, as well as the disinfection of the training space. Next. And we have to start into small groups, keep onto our group using the same mannequins, and also each group are not allowed to mingle, and there's a staggered time for check-in, check-out, as well as break. Next. So Singapore celebrated World Restart Heart Day 2020, and it's a virtual event. There's a panel discussion of hands-only CPR, as well as a video showing how COVID-19 is was training, and also there's a putting of hand sanitizer and face masks in all the public access AED. Next. And for this year, I think World Restart Heart will be a virtual event as well. So there will be a discussion on the prevention of heart disease, as well as a short video with cardiac arrest survivor to highlight the importance of bystander CPR and public AED. Next. Next. So in Korea, celebrated, previous slide, please. Korea celebrated World Restart Heart Day with CPR painting contest and for the school children, and CPR mannequins and AED were donated to school. And the bottom picture depicted Snow White, trained, able, and willing, self-sacrifice to do mouth-to-mouth ventilation on the prince. Next. And again, this year, most likely, World Heart Day will be a virtual event. They have already budgeted. They have already a budget to celebrate this event, and just to show that the victims of cardiac arrest in the picture are all males. Next. So in Japan, all the school children have been trained to do hands-only CPR. So during the World Restart Heart Day last 2019, they trained the ambassador foreign student using the AHA family and friends course. Next. So for this year, there is no online on-site CPR and AED training. So they have done a web-based online training for the 180 medical and nursing students in the university. And for this year, they are busy preparing the Tokyo Olympic. So we'll prepare for World Restart the Heart day after the Tokyo Olympics. Okay, that's my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Swee Han.
Yes.
Over to Sabine.
Thank you. I now introduce the next speaker, who comes from Australia and represents Australia and New Zealand. Kevin Nation, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Sabine. Next slide, thank you. Just by way of declarations, I'm the Chief Executive of the Resuscitation Council and I'm remunerated by them for my services. Next slide, thanks. Just by way of overview, I just want to talk a little bit about the collaboration that we've had across Australia and New Zealand, 60 years of CPR, social media campaign, what we did in terms of social media community events. We collaborated during our Maori Language Week, Video Competition Australia live streaming event, and then the total impact we've had. Next slide, thanks. So the collaboration across Australia and New Zealand not only included both councils, but also a lot of work that was done by our Council of Ambulance Authorities with a lot of input from St John Ambulance in New Zealand and the Wellington Free Ambulance and all of the ambulance services across Australia. Next slide, thanks. The New Zealand Council started 1 month prior to October with a 60 years of CPR campaign, and we found that this was very engaging, particularly for school children. They were making birthday cakes for CPR at schools, and it was actually a topic that was covered in their history lessons. We also received a number of historical photos sent through to the council that we were able to use in our social media campaign. Next slide, thanks. New Zealand is one of the first places to see the new day. So we did in fact have a CPR session, and that you see at the top of that slide there as at the dawn of the new day, and that's on top of Mount Victoria in Wellington. We were very privileged to not only be able to do social media campaigns, but because of the position we had with the global pandemic, we were able to have a number of face-to-face sessions at schools and around various places across both Australia and New Zealand. Next slide, thanks. We realised that at the time that World Restart a Heart Day actually occurred during Maori Language Week, and so we had all of our materials translated into Te Reo, and we were able to publish those as well. Next slide, thanks. In Australia, Greg Page, who was a children's entertainer and a survivor of cardiac arrest, developed a video, and the Australian Council had a video competition and awarded prizes to the winning video clips. And Greg is now a strong advocate for CPR in schools across Australia. Next slide, thanks. The CAA were able to engage both of the Queen's representatives in Australia and New Zealand, and both of them gave messages of support to the day on the day. And CAA also produced a number of collateral that was available to be distributed. Next slide, thanks. It was picked up by all of the local New Zealand and Australian breakfast channels, and we had exposure across both countries. And the CAA also had a 4-hour live streaming event. Next slide, thanks. In terms of our total reach, we were able to have a total reach across all of our social media channels of just over 230,000 interactions. Next slide, thanks. And for this year, we hope to build on the collaboration that we've seen across all of those organisations. There's a strong push for the CPR in Schools program in Australia, and so we'll be working on that, and we'll be also collaborating on the survivor stories. Thanks very much for the opportunity to present this evening for us.
Thank you very much.
And we proceed. Thank you very much. Great. We are going again in another area of the world. This is Canada, and this is Farhan Bani who will present. Farhan, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's very early morning here. It's almost 3 a.m. for me. I'm delighted to present here. I think this is a great opportunity, and that's why I'm up in the middle of the night to do this. And I'd like to thank ERC for the opportunity to present on behalf of Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. I'm a pediatric intensive care physician out of McGill University in Montreal. If you can go to the next slide, please. I have no conflicts of interest related to this, except for my academic ones, where I think we really do need to push this agenda. In Canada, World Restart a Heart was bilingual. We're in English and French. On a fait ça en anglais et français. It was entirely virtual, and it was amplified by our partners. If you can scroll down to the next part of this slide, please. What we did was we created a series of social media toolkits for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. If you scroll down to the next part of the slide, please. And then some tools and resources, including some hands-only CPR videos, some infographics that were widely distributed. In order to amplify our mission, we used partners to push the message out. If you go to the next slide, please. Our partner initiatives, if you scroll down on this slide, please, included partners from McGill University. I was very fortunate to work with some incredible healthcare science students, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, medicine, nursing, who helped create a World Restart a Heart campaign there. But it was a very different approach. It was using a survivor to help push the message, who's part of the development of the entire program. So she was part of the development of the as well, the survivor story. You go down on the slide, please. We did a series of webinars. On this webinar here, you can see the top right corner. We actually used a mother of a child who survived to amplify the message of how important CPR is to young people. One of the things that we did that was kind of emotionally grappling was using an Olympic athlete, Joanie Rochette, who was a figure skater in the Olympics in Vancouver in Canada, whose mother died of a cardiac arrest just 2 days before her competing in the Olympics and winning a bronze medal. And it was a really great story about how, she only felt fulfilled because, everything was tried for her mom, and then she went on to compete. And it's a really interesting story. And if you have 1 minute to watch a couple of videos, I'd highly encourage that. If you go to the next slide, please. If you go down to the next slide, please. So the success, if you scroll down to pull up what's on this slide, our social media impact was about 240,000 from Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. Our partners reached out to another 400,000. A lot of social media presence, and I think that was really interesting. Traditional media was much less, with only 30,000. Interesting place, and that is really it. Thank you, Bernd, for the message, and happy to answer questions later.
Excellent, Farhan. So thank you very much, and applause, and we proceed. Andy, please.
Thank you very much. And you mentioned about questions. That's a very timely reminder. We're keeping our eye on Slido. So if anybody watching has got any questions, we'll hopefully be able to cover them at the end of the presentations. So we're now coming home. We're coming to Europe for the next presentation. And I'm going to ask Nadine and Carlo to give a presentation about the activities in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. I'm really happy to represent Europe together with Carlo. Next slide, please. We are both part of our National Resuscitation Council. So for me, that's the German one, and for Carlo, the Luxembourg one. Next slide, please. In the past, most European countries did their own separate activities on World Restart a Heart Day, but last year there was one activity that was done across Europe and even across the world. That was the social media campaign, My Song Can Save Lives. The idea of this campaign was that in case of an emergency, everyone should have a song from their favorite singer in their mind that indicates the appropriate rhythm for resuscitation. And to be honest, if your favorite singer asks you to inform yourself about CPR, you are much more likely to do this than if a politician or physician asks you to do that. So what we did is that we contacted artists, singers that had a song indicating the appropriate rhythm and invited them to post their song on the social media platforms around World Restart a Heart Day. Here you can see 3 famous examples of artists who did post. We have Andrew Lloyd Webber with the song Phantom of the Opera. We have the Vienna Philharmonics with the Radetzky March, and we have David Garrett with a cover of the song Staying Alive. And on the link on the slide, you can see a lot more of the artists that participated. We had artists participating from Australia, Austria, Finland, Germany, Iceland, Slovenia, South Africa, United Kingdom, and many more. There were more than 30 artists overall. Next slide, please. And then handing over to Carlo.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. I have no conflict of interest. You see in the flow chart, it was on the Benefit Gala Show concert on German TV in December 20 that gave us the idea of the development of a 101 project for the World Restart a Heart campaign 21. 101 stands for one project in one country for 1 year. It will be on a voluntary basis for every National Resuscitation Council. All details you will see in the flowchart. The project of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest can be chosen between different topics and domains. For example, emergency organization, improvement in chain of survival, education, training, or more technical aspect or other proposals you can have. Important is to know at the beginning what are the results we want to achieve within 1 year. Under the umbrella of and support of ERC, the launch could be at the 16th of October 21 and the closure in October 22, with highlighting the results, positive, negative issues, facilities, and difficulties. We propose a take-home message. What did we finally learn from this project? And I hope that many countries will join us. Next slide, please. But also, we are open-minded for any other great ideas. Please contact us on the emails. Thank you very much for the nice attention.
Thank you very much, Carlo, for that fantastic presentation, and also Nadine for yours as well. And I think as we're talking about Europe, it should be timely to mention that within the last 2 weeks, we've welcomed another country in Europe who is now going to give mandatory training of CPR to all their school children. So huge cordial congratulations to the Welsh Parliament, who have now voted that from next year, all of their children will get CPR training, which only leaves Northern Ireland in the UK. All eyes are watching you, Northern Ireland. So I'm going to hand over to Sabine to introduce the next speaker.
Okay, we're already leaving Europe again, and invite now Dr. Sita Shankar Rao from India for his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is actually, we are very young in starting CPR in India. Thanks to Dr. Vinay Nadkarni and Buttinger and Andrew Lockie, there is a lot of encouragement from all of you to start CPR. And the Indian Society of Anesthesiologists has given us a very big hand in procuring the mannequins and all those things. And we have been participating in this since 2017, and now we are here. And this last year, the Medical Council of India has introduced like mandatory training program for as a foundation course for all the medical students. So now every year, 80,000 medical students are participating. And now the school boards are also taking it as an interest, and they're introducing it into the curriculum. Another thing is some of the universities, medical universities, have made it mandatory, and the medical graduates are coming out with a certificate of training. Next slide, please. And this is all the people who have first started this in 2017. Next slide. This is all the luminaries. Vinay Nadkarni is here. Even the army is also started training people. Next. This is our Vice President of India. He has released the manuals of the trainings. He himself is participating here in the compression only life support. Next slide. This is all the various places where we did work. Next slide. This is in Cape Town when we met Ben Buttinger and Andrew Locke. And this is in Johannesburg in Gandhi Square, where we went and asked the children to do CPR there. Thank you. Next. This is the day on 16th of October. We have invited online of all the luminaries of ILCAR, and we have released a postal cover and a stamp on that day, and it has been a very grand success. Next slide, sir. And there is no conflict of interest. Next slide. So let us be together on every 16th of October. We celebrate and we make it as a grand event. Now we have a lot of projects now coming up. The most important thing is involving the school children as a network. They are making a network. And another thing is to involve the lay people more anywhere, because the problem in India is there are 14 official languages, and the language is different from one place to another, and we are facing some little problem in translating. We are asking the companies to manufacture AEDs in the regional languages also. And another thing is we have started refreshers courses for the already done instructors, and we are trying to do a quasi or a something like online and offline programs to train the people. And we are already there in the print media, FM radio, video presentations and all. And sometimes we are giving offline free demonstrations every month. So thank you very much, sir. We are trying to do much better work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great work. We are jumping through the world. Next is South Africa. Kathy Bodmer, please.
Hi, thank you for the invite. It's great to be part of this. I don't think it's a conflict of interest, but I am the Executive Director of the Resuscitation Council of Southern Africa. The Resus Council of South Africa ran a National CPR Day for the last 10 years, which was all about taking CPR to the people of South Africa. We encouraged healthcare facilities and training centers to arrange CPR demonstrations in public places like shopping centers and the waterfront in front of Table Mountain, as well as organizing mass demonstrations of CPR at schools. So this engagement meant people who may never ever get into a CPR class would be taught how to call for an ambulance and how to do compressions. Handing out flyers with these basic steps and encouraging them to enroll in a CPR class close to them. Then we joined the global initiative of World Restart a Heart Day in 2019 with great excitement. And then 2020 arrived with COVID, which totally changed how we had to interact with the public. A hard national lockdown directly affected our ability to do any face-to-face training. So our focus had to change to online and social media platforms, and with very short notice. So World Restart a Heart Day 2020 became all about exposing and creating an awareness regarding the importance of CPR, and it had to be all done in social media. So we got World Restart a Heart Day onto the National Health Calendar, which would mean that all health facilities and institutions and universities would be encouraged to join us in this very exciting endeavor on an annual basis. The South African National Sea Rescue came on board enthusiastically and assisted with the launch and the distribution of COVID-19 CPR algorithms for the layperson, in this in 2 main African languages, Xhosa and Zulu, for the very first time, which we're very excited about. These are reaching in excess of about 16,000 South Africans, and these are still being shared and take CPR to a much wider segment of our population. Move slide, please. And again, so these are the algorithms. So all these algorithms are shared in South Africa on South African apps. And one app called Namola is a locally developed app which is accessed by thousands of South Africans. It's a security app, and they can go there for advice and how to call an ambulance and what to do in the meantime, as well as EM guidance. And that is an app used by healthcare providers primarily across the country for guidance and for algorithm access. And that had a reach on the day of about 9,000 people. We used Facebook and Twitter in a new way, spreading the word and growing awareness of CPR, engaging approximately in that time just 30,000 people. Flyers were handed out where possible in a very small way this year because people were not out and about, and all of us obviously in masks. You can change slide. We had radio interviews where we talked about World Restart Our Heart and basic CPR and enabling us to reach people who possibly don't have internet access and who wouldn't be necessarily on television either, but the local radio stations where we could discuss CPR and World Restart Our Heart Day and the importance of knowing where to put your hand and how to push chest while we wait for the ambulance. We used the hashtag My Song Can Save a Life, and we had some bands and South African bands and artists participate in the campaign, including Prime Circle with their song Doors, and Jesse Clegg with his song Let It Burn, Martin Bester with an Afrikaans song called Anders, again appealing to a different audience. This initiative requested the artists to post on their social media platforms on the 16th of October, raising awareness for World Restart Our Heart Day. We estimate the reach for the day was only in the region of 56,000. However, we look forward to World Restart Our Heart Day 2021, where we'll be taking CPR to the people of South Africa in a new way and hopefully a bigger collaboration.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kathy. Great work. Over to Andy, please.
Thank you so much. For the people from Europe, this does feel a little bit like Eurovision, where we're jumping from one country to the other. And just like Eurovision, every country has got their own individual and unique take on Restart a Heart. So we're now going to go to South America and to Naomi.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Professor Bennett and colleagues, for the opportunity. And the results from 2020 in South America, particularly in Brazil, was based on Kids Save Lives Brazil campaign for the World Restart a Heart. We had 354 face-to-face training and more than 500 online trainings, more than 15 scholarships for undergraduates, and 35 scientific meetings. We also published one cartoon, one book with 120 pages, one folder, and several videos for population, normal people. And then we increased our social media campaign. And please, next one. We have the ongoing state law project of São Paulo for the October 16 week for sudden cardiac arrest and cardiopulmonary resuscitation awareness. And we had 6 webinars with invited speakers. Sorry for the name of Vinay, that is wrongly, with Professor Bernard Bottiger, Federico Semeraro, and the others. We have 2 reports of one adolescent that saved her grandfather, and also a school teacher that saved her grandchild. We also had one international symposium for online with the participation of Professor Bernard, Professor Pascal, Andrew Locke, and Federico Semeraro. We also had several radio interviews that were available for 6,000 students over São Paulo. Please, next. And And for the 2021 campaign, we have the national competition for saving women's lives. Also, we intended to increase our social media. We continue to have webinars, videos, and also to increase national agreements for the World Restart Heart Day campaign, and continue to have face-to-face trainings and also online trainings, and mentoring and scholarships for undergraduates, as well as to publish new cartoons for school children. And we began to contact our colleagues from Argentina, Chile, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Paraguay, and to have the second international symposium. And the most important is the survivors reports campaign that we have already started with the hashtag CPR saved my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi.
Okay, we're moving on. We're jumping now to Sri Lanka and invite Nilmini Veerasuriya for her presentation. Thank you very much.
We cannot hear you, Nilmini.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to represent my country at the Resuscitation Congress 2021. And I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. So I don't have any conflicts of interest. And I'm coming from the country, which is a beautiful island in the Indian Ocean with a population of nearly 22 million. With the life expectancy of birth at 75 and literacy rate about 91%. And why did we decide to join this project? Because we have high cardiac risks and deaths, and we don't have any national cardiac arrest registry, and public awareness of CPR is low. And as founder members, Dr. Andy, Rocky, and Jason joined us in March 2019 to inaugurate this project. And we had produced leaflets and promotional videos in 2019 when we inaugurated the project, and we had done a nice video with a very popular actress to promote the public education. And the first World Restart Day was conducted in all provinces, and the Kids Save Lives project was also launched on the same day. We managed to train over 3,700 people, including school children, on that and the day around the World Restart Heart Day. And we welcomed 2020 with a lot of enthusiasm. And in January 2020, we launched Restart Heart Sri Lanka website at our annual Congress. And we conducted CPR training programs for school children and the public. And the Italian Resuscitation Council granted us permission to use Kids Save Lives logo. So by end of February, we managed to train 782 people hands-on, including school children. And the governor of the Western Province approved our Training the Trainer project proposal for school teachers. And the pilot project was started, and the first DRC BLS was planned for February 2020. And unfortunately, the country went into a major lockdown for more than 3 months, and all this hands-on training had to be halted. So in 2016, we were planning on the 16th World Restart Heart Day to be celebrated at Galle, the beautiful city, and the posters were made and the t-shirts were done. Invitation was sent out, and with very, very short notice, the country went into a major lockdown again. And we did not have much time to do a lot of activities, but we continued to spread the word with social media. And we heard that there were reports of people being reluctant to approach when somebody collapses outside the hospital. So for 2021, we look forward to reactivate the same plans we already made for 2020. And we plan to restart bystander CPR training as soon as possible. And Training the Trainers program is being conducted as a hybrid one, and the social media is going to be used in a bigger way to raise public awareness. And we are also in the process of collecting success stories of lives saved. And if all is well, we will celebrate the World Restart Heart Day on the 16th of October in the beautiful city of Gaul. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nilmini, for this nice presentation. I'm handing over back to Ben Tika for his own presentation as IDSA representative.
Okay, thank you very much. We are leaving the regions of the world now, and we coming to the societies and organizations that are supporting World Restart a Heart. And the first one in this row is the European Society of Anesthesiology, who changed its name last year into European Society of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care. Next, please. So here are my conflicts of interest. I would just like to say that I'm presenting this on behalf of the European Society of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care Medicine because I'm chairing the Committee Critical Emergency Medicine, Resuscitation and Trauma. Thank you. Next, please. The European Society of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care has more than 30,000 members. Next, please. And we are committed to World Restart a Heart since 2018. Next, please. And we started with newsletters. And next, please. And with putting all these informations on our website. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, thank you very much. And we invited all members to participate in World Restart Heart on October 16 every year, which is always, and that's an important message, also the World Anesthesia Day, because the first anesthesia was done 1846 at this day in Boston, Massachusetts. Next, please. And World Restart a Heart Day activities on different occasions and congresses were performed under the umbrella of ESAIC. 2020, we had a virtual congress, and 2019, we had a congress face-to-face in Roma in Italy, and it was always a great thing to do and to focus also on World Restart a Heart activities during these congresses. Next, please. Next, please. Sorry. And we are committed also for World Restart a Heart 2021. And this was one of the newsletters that we have brought out under the umbrella of ESAIC to all 30,000 ESAIC members in the last years. Next, please. Here are some impressions from our face-to-face Congress in Roma in Italy in 2019. Next, please. And the next, please. And next, please. And with this, I would like to thank the European Society of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care Medicine cordially for participating in ILCO World Restart a Heart and for bringing this worldwide movement to the attention of all our 30,000 members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernd. And we continue with societies. I'd just like to also mention that we've had support from the European Society of Emergency Medicine as well, which is very much appreciated. But probably globally, one of the largest societies that has given considerable support to World Restart a Heart is the International Federation of Red Cross. So bonjour, Pascal, over to you.
We cannot hear you, Pascal.
Oh, yes, I was mute. Sorry. Good morning from Paris. It's a pleasure to be part of this global initiative, and thank you very much to be part. It's very clear that the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent was very active in this initiative, and we are 192 countries, and that's very important for us to promote first aid and resuscitation. Next one. I have no financial conflict of interest. I'm a national medical advisor of the French Red Cross and emergency physician in Paris, and head of the Global First Aid Reference Center of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent. We are in fact working with the 192 national society, because in fact first aid and resuscitation is really a first action all national societies have. Next one. So we have two events in September and October, and we try to articulate that. It's the World First Aid Day. The World First Aid Day first is each second Saturday of September since 2000. And it's very clear for us, it's very important to articulate with the World Restarter Day. And we collaborate with ERC and ILCOR since 2019 now. And we try to not to compete the two events, but really to enlarge the audience of lay people for participating to the both events. It's very clear that for 2019 and 2020, more than people reached through social media, because unfortunately, of course, we have the COVID crisis. But it's very clear that for the network of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, it's very important to have a face-to-face contact. Of course, for 2021, the collaboration continues. What we have done for 2020, next one. In fact, next, yes, thank you. The key numbers, that's very clear that 80 national societies marked World First Aid Day. And unfortunately, 35% canceled their activities due to the COVID situation. We mobilize, in fact, more than 60,000 volunteers or staff, and we teach to 250,000 people training first aid, and more than 10 million reach through the social media. For the World Restarter Day, of course, we emphasize this action, and more than 50 people more reach through the social media. Next one. Some photos, but it's very clear for us, it's all around the world that we were active, and it was a pleasure to be part of this initiative. And we want to continue this 2021 action with, of course, the same tools than 2020, but also we continue to try to have a contact and face-to-face training to increase the number of people training first aid and resuscitation. Next one. I want to thank you very much, and I think I'm on time.
Perfect. Merci. Over to Sabine.
Okay, so we are now reaching the final presentation of this session. I'm inviting Jannike Mellin-O's presentation as WFSA representative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. As you said, I represent the World Federation of Societies of Anesthesiologists. I'm also wearing other hats, but I'm the immediate past president, and it's with that hat I'm continuing. No money. As you know, the World Federation of Societies of Anesthesiologists is a global federation of representing more than 150 countries in the world, representing several hundred thousands of anesthesiologists. And as anesthesiologists, we have done, this was from Europe, done the Helsinki Declaration on Patient Safety in Anesthesiology, where we underscore that our main goal is to take care of patients wherever they are on their most vulnerable. And this, of course, includes resuscitation. But on the 16th of October is also the World Anesthesia Day, remembering the ether demonstration in Boston in 1846 on 16th of October. So we are celebrating two things, or marking two different, but also the same things on that very day. So for this year, it has been decided to combine the two, the World Anesthesia Day and the World Restart a Heart Day will be one effort together, and based on the WHO theme of the year, which is designated as the International Year of Health and Healthcare Work. workers. So our angle this year will be healthcare worker safety for instance, resuscitation situations. These are figures when it's the CPR risk-benefit balance for healthcare workers. We know on one side that every second of delay causes more patient harm. At the same time, we risk harming ourselves. So we have to highlight the harm that can be done and to protect health workers and others when they are performing CPR. As we know, as I learned when I was in military services also, when you enter a minefield and there are people blown up by anti-personnel mines, it's very hard for healthcare workers to decide whether to rush in and risk injuring yourself at the same time as trying to save a patient. But sometimes it's better to be protected yourself before and not risking 2 lives instead of the one that already is harmed. So that is something that we are going to look into this year, that we need to raise awareness for healthcare workers, at the same time ensuring that we do the best for patients when they are in this very vulnerable situation when a heart has stopped. So that is our plans for the coming year. And when I have the opportunity, I would say thank you so much for this travel around the globe in an hour this morning, for which it is for me. This is very encouraging and inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this nice presentation, which was the final talk in this session. I personally am very impressed about this project and how it's defying the partially adverse circumstances during this interesting year of 2020. And I'm now handing over to Bernd for his final remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Sabine. I mean, this is just amazing. This is just brilliant. This is outstanding. And I'm very much looking forward into the future, because we will proceed in that way and we will make all of us happy, because it's a lot of fun to do it by ourselves, and we will make many other people happy, and we will save a lot of patients' life with our initiative. This has really an impact to the whole world. And I would also like to add that also the World Federation of Societies of Intensive Care and Critical Care Societies was part of our 2019 and 2020 activities, but unfortunately they do not have a presentation here. So also others are engaged with this, and we have received some questions in the chat whether we can share all the presentations and all the material and maybe some videos and all this with others who want to start in 2021 and in the upcoming years with any kind of World Restart Heart activities. And I would like to cordially invite everyone to send the presentations to Helene, and to allow her, most of them she has already, and to allow her to present them on the ERC website and on the website of the International Liaison Committee on Resuscitation. And that would be great if we could have all the material there. And with this, we have 3 minutes before 9 o'clock in Central Europe. I give the microphone over to Dr. Annie Lockie.
Thank you very much, Bernd. What a fantastic session. What an amazing session. And just to reinforce that all the materials will be held on this website as well, the ilcor.org/WRAH, where we have all the details from around the world. World Restart Heart goes from strength to strength. It's only been really in existence for about 3 years, but we've seen in this last hour the diversity of approaches from all around the world. And we're truly talking all around the world. We know that the message has got to all except 2 countries in the world. And we're just going to pause for a second just to realize just how amazing that is. So it is truly a worldwide collaboration. We want to hear everyone's stories throughout this year. So for 2021, we're going to be adding a hashtag CPR saved my life. And you can see here an example of this initiative from a couple of years ago in the north of England. And we really want to see now the impact of what we've been doing. We know that more people are getting trained in CPR, but we now want to see the impact of how this affects people. We want to see pictures of normal people from around the world who've had their lives saved. So it really keys in with the main mission statement of World Restart a Heart. Every citizen of the world can save a life, and it only takes 2 hands to save a life. Huge thanks to everybody who's contributed over this last hour. Thank you to all of you who've joined us for this session. We hope that you enjoy the rest of the Congress, and thank you once again to all our speakers.